So welcome to yet another weekly watch list. That week that we just had was a really good week, a little over 10%. A few losses in there as well, but nonetheless a real good result for that full week. So we're going to go over all the trades we took for that week, where we got in, where we got out, and what led us to getting that 10%. So it's going to be a lot to go through, so I'm going to try and get through it as quickly as humanly possible and not waste any time at all. So first trade that we'll quickly look at, we covered on this in the market recap, but we'll go over, start with Euro GBP. Of course, that was a buy setup that we were looking at, but there was basically just a buy off of this zone, and we didn't really move too far away from it, but we did manage to bank ourselves 3.8% on that one. USD Cad, we actually had minus 2% on this one. So we got stopped out of that trade. We tried to place it. I think it was, if I remember correctly, we entered here. Our stop loss was just behind here, and then obviously it hit. And then we entered again on this candle here. Actually made on the second entry 5.3%. So overall off that pair, made 3.3% minus the 2% that we lost in the initial entry. So, and again you can see we took price action out. It was just about to, I think it was about 9 pips away from take profit. If you can see the bottom of this wick here, it was about 9 pips away. But we noticed that the market was starting to slow down. It was on a Friday. We just wanted to be flat for the weekend. And then that way we're not susceptible to any big gaps up or down in the market when it reopens again on Sunday night. So we took our trade out a little bit early, but it turns out it was a good idea, because as it started to get later on Friday, you can see it came back up for that retest and it started pushing away again. So we could have, if this was near the start of the week and all this was going on, we could have actually closed out here, came back up, and then entered again. So that would have been you could have banked crazy amounts of money just off this one setup. And you can see the analysis was perfect. It's come back and the zones have been accurate. This is what we keep going on about. The zones have to be accurate, because if the zones are accurate, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4 entries. It doesn't really matter as long as the signals there are to be taken. Then of course you're going to be capitalizing on that. Sometimes it's not about how many different types of setups on different pairs you find, it's how many different setups you find on a pair. So you could be making money trend, counter trend, support and resistance reversals. It doesn't really matter, but the support and resistance zones have to be matched up with confluences, and they also have to be drawn with extreme accuracy. If they're not drawn with extreme accuracy, every single decision you make is going to be flawed. They'll be inaccurate, and if they're not drawn correctly, it could be the difference between making a 3-to-1 or a 1.5-to-1. Anything less than a 3-to-1 in my eyes, in my opinion, isn't worth taking. Especially when you consider how much time and energy it takes to actually wait on specific setups to actually form. So Euro USD Cad minus 0.4%, USD Gpy minus 2%. So let's go USD Gpy. USD Gpy, what were we looking at? I think we're looking for a buy here. We took a buy here, and then of course I think we actually got caught out somewhere in this area, but that was minus 2%, and Euro Gpy was plus 2.1%. We actually took, I think it was this trade here. We've seen this candle here, this big shooting star candle, respected the zone very nicely, so we closed below it. And then we actually took an entry, and then price action just about stopped us out. We had our stop loss just behind here, and then price action pushed down, had that push, pull, push, and then I think we got it round about here, and then price action tore all the way back up again, like most of the market's been doing recently. Found sellers step back in at the top of the market structure and then push market down. And then I think, no, actually that's wrong. we actually got out here because I remember seeing the bottom of the channel, the bottom of the rising wedge, and I was thinking, right, it's Friday. These are not encouraging signs that we're going to actually break through these big wicks here. So if you actually look, we're starting to see these accumulating, and this was a massive hammer candle that just didn't look very good if you're wanting to be holding the trade and expecting price action to come back down. It's typically, in my eyes at the time of looking at it, was the indication for me that we've had that push phase. We're maybe going to get a pull back up into somewhere in around this region, or maybe even retest this zone again. So we decided to take our profits. So that was 2.1%. The USD Cad was 5.3%, and then NZD Cad was plus 4.7%. So overall, good week, just over 10%. As you can see here, this was a perfect zone that we mapped out. I'm not going to go into the analysis on that because we've got a lot to cover, but the entry signal was, of course, this engulfing. Then we came back up and created a double top, and it's really important that the double top, the second top, is smaller or higher up or lower than the first one. If it's a double bottom, you want the second bottom to be higher, and if it's a double top, you want the second top to be lower, because that signals that your bias is actually going to move away in the direction that you want it to from the analysis that you put down. So enough of that. We're going to go through all the pairs that we are looking to trade this week. Let me just change these. And we shall go through them all. Right, okay, so dollar index. Let's start with the dollar index and see where we're at with this. Again, could we see some buyers step in this week? Nobody knows right now. It's sort of just, it's not really moving with any conviction anywhere. It's gearing up for something, but I mean, we do have this is a massive weekly level here that we've drew in, and it fits nicely in, because this will be the next big area that we think price action will go to if we do continue in a downward fashion. But we've got to come up eventually. I mean, this has been going on for quite some time now, since the 31st of March. Quite a big downtrend. We've moved a lot, so we are expecting buyers to start coming back in the market, but when is the question. We're just going to have to be patient and try and figure that out. But right now, we're pushing back up above this level of support. We're having a small little pullback into the support, so we could see that price could potentially move back up higher out if we manage to get past this descending trend line. But unless we get past that, we can't really with real conviction say that the buyers have stepped back into the market and the market's going to be moving in a bullish fashion, because that's just not exactly the way the market works. We could easily find buyers back up to the top of a region or somewhere around the 90.400 handle, but that is as far as it goes in terms of trades for me, until we see that positive push out has been respected, and then we start to create some higher highs and higher lows, which obviously is bullish structure. Just a higher high, higher low, because we failed to break this low here, and then that push up and look to get entries somewhere around a region like this. But until that happens, I'm just going to trade what's in front of me on the pairs that I'm trading, and then just before I make entries, I will revert back to the dollar index to make sure that my bias is correct. We still have plenty of movement in the trade that I'm looking to take, and the take profit that I've set for that trade. So let's start with USD Cad. Again, we're out this trade now, so we're just going to monitor that and see what happens. It could be some buyers step back, and then let's see. Could be some buyers stepping back in the market, but until we clear this level here that we formed the original double top at, I'm not really pro bullish on US dollar CAD. We definitely need to see, like, you have this little push up here. This could be the small pullback, push. Let me see, that's not what I wanted. That push, pull back into this zone, and then short trade back up to this double top here. That could be potentially a nice setup that if we do get the right entry signal, will allow us to bank a nice bit of profit. And it's not a big trade, it'll be quite a short term trade. You'll make sure that this, of course, is drawn accurately. See the accuracy of the touches to the wicks and the candle bodies, and you can see here wicks. So you know that this is an extremely accurate and relevant zone. So if we've managed to find an entry signal once price action moves, has that push phase, comes back, pulls into an area of interest, and then just take that next leg up, roughly in this region, you could easily be banking yourself a 3-1, 4-1, depending on how price action behaves, and if it does actually respect this level, or if it even manages to get past it in the first place. There's just so many different options and variables. But again, it's not about having an accurate prediction, it's about throwing things out there, baiting the market, making sure that the market has something for you to test. So for example, this level that I've drawn is a market test. Okay, it's a test for the market to see how is it going to react to this level. If it reacts in a bullish fashion, I'm getting ready to make a buying position. If it reacts in a bearish fashion, I'm getting ready to make a sell position. It really doesn't matter what way the market goes. What matters is what you give the market in terms of testing it. So you've got to give it accurate, well drawn out, well thought analysis for it to test, and then you react to how it reacts based on that test. So I hope that makes sense. And moving on to Gbp Aussie. Again, real nice rising wedge pattern. We've created a double top. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. If we do manage to find some legs down, and then if we do manage to find some legs down, of course, as you all know, they like to take it back to the beginning of the structure. So it's for somewhere around this region would be good for me in terms of a target. But right now there's nothing. I mean, I would have entered probably on that double top if it wasn't so late on Friday and I actually caught it. But we could potentially go up higher from here. So we can see this double top is a nice area of resistance, but we don't want to rule out the fact that the market might be able to go higher. So where could it potentially go higher to? That is the question. So always look left to see what reference points we have from the past. As you can see on the daily, we have actually pushed all the way up here and we've started to retrace ever so slightly. So I want to draw, I can see a zone here at the top of this wick. That would be an area of interest to me because you can see we've had a wick touching the edge of the box here. We've had a candle push all the way up and then push back down through this zone, come back up and retest it again, pushed into it, closed just on the edge, and then rallied away. And then this is when we're coming back up, and it looks like it has been respected again because this daily candle is actually pushed up and then closed below the level again, and now we've pushed up for a second time, and it looks like we're going to close weak for a second time in the past 3 days. So right now it could be a good opportunity to go short. So this is actually going to be one that's going to have quite immediate attention. So we're going to drag this down to the very bottom to make sure that we can look at that when the market opens, just to see if there actually is an opportunity for us to get in straight away. But again, until we get an entry signal, we will not be entering that market. And of course, we want to be making sure that our fundamentals are in line with our technical analysis, so we're not getting caught with any market manipulation, news events that we've not been paying attention to. But that's been Gbp Aussie. Now we're on to Aussie US dollar. Again, nothing really fancy I'm looking at here. You can see it's pretty simple. We've got zones marked out here, and I'm just waiting to see how price action reacts to these zones. Do we bounce off this support zone and then start reaching up to the 0.79000 handle, or do we have a small break and retest down to the 0.76000 handle? That is the question. As it stands right now, you can see that we'll have this support zone and we'll have a descending triangle. Now, descending triangle by nature typically would suggest that you would break the support zone because we're pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, and as price action gets to this level, typically we would break below. If this was more slanted and it was a descending wedge pattern like this, then typically speaking you would break to the upside. But because we are more, let's change that. Because we are more of a descending triangle, price is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's trying to break this zone here. It's trying to break this zone. So if price continually and repeatedly hits off a zone and again and again and again, typically what will happen is it will break, especially in the case of the descending triangle. And like I say, if it was more something along the lines of a descending wedge, which is completely different and gives a completely different bias when you see those in the market, those will typically go back to the upside. So my bias for this is a move to the downside, but again, I'm ready to take a buy position if that was to be the case. So just know the difference between ascending triangles, descending triangles, rising wedges and descending wedges. Rising wedges typically mean that there's a reversal to the downside. Descending wedges typically mean there's a rise to the upside pending. Ascending triangles mean there's a break to the upside, and descending triangles means, typically speaking, you can expect a break to the downside. But it's always good, no matter that if you're looking at a pattern that you know the probability and the outcome is X, you should always be prepared for Y as well. That way you can make money regardless of the outcomes. That's what the whole point in this is. There's no point spending an hour or 2 hours on analysis if you only have setups or you've only looked at ways to trade with the trend. There could be plenty, if you know where to look and you know how to set them up, opportunities counter trend. So always have a bias, but never be attached to that bias. Let's have a look at Euro Aussie. Again, you can see what we're looking for here. We're looking for price action to slowly start coming into this zone around about the 0.382 Fibonacci level that matches up perfectly with this ascending trend line, and of course this area of supports. So we've got 3 confluences, and then of course the 4th confluence would be the entry signal, whether it's a bullish engulfing candle, an inside bar, a bullish hammer candle, tweezer bombs. It really doesn't matter. We're looking for an entry signal to take this back up to just under the 1.58000 handle. So Euro GBP, again, I think we could find some more legs to the upside. That's personally what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking we could take price action all the way back up. I'd probably make 0.8700 my target, just below this area that we caused the double top at, just under the 0.87200 handle. So again, we'd have to have a really convincing entry signal here. It looks like price is going to come back down and retest again. We might actually just have a small break and retest. But what is the bigger picture telling us? Okay, so we're obviously on the 4 hour right now. Let's go to the daily and let's see what the bigger picture is telling us. The bigger picture is telling us, okay, we have had quite a large push up on the 6th of April, and then we came to about an end around about the 0.87100 handle, and now we have slowly started to come back down and retest this area. But as you can see, interestingly, on the daily, we've retested it again, and then we've been pushed away. So that's a good signal that we could see buyers come back into the market. Another good signal is seeing this big leg up, and until we come below this level here that we've got marked out in red here at the bottom, I am firmly bullish. Even though we have had this massive momentum candle, you can see the rounding and off. We've been respected very well, pushed back up, not far away, come back down to retest again, and then we could potentially look to take bias back up. So that's my bias, but again, targets if we didn't have that play would be, of course, somewhere down here, somewhere in this region. If we did find more sellers stepping into the market, but my bias is that we are going to find some more buyers. I think the dollar might continue to be a bit weaker this week, which would obviously help with the euro being stronger, and then we might actually see that rally up that we did anticipate on our euro GBP trade during the week there, but just didn't go as far as we wanted it to. So euro USD, again, you can see we need a pullback. I think we are going to get that pullback, but where do we pull back to? And obviously, I am looking at a trade like this because we are starting. This is this rising wedge formation that we talk about, which typically would lead to a reversal, or a reversal, just a short-term pullback. Now, where could the short-term pullback be to? I'm thinking we could actually take price action back down to round about this level here. As you can see, really nice, well-respected zone. And it would make a lot of sense, although I do like this a little bit better in terms of a level, because we have had that great touch all the way at the start of the break of the downward trend line. So what's happened when we did reach that zone is we respected it very well. We created a nice double bottom, and then that's when we started to rally away and really start to trend. But now, as you can see here, we've created a bigger scale double bottom. We might actually start finding some buyers back in. So I'm going to leave this zone here just in case we do break, because we might get a small break and retest back down to the zone. But if we have a look here, you can see this area of the market could actually be a good place to find buyers back up to the top of these double tops here. So that's definitely something that I will be looking out for. And if we can find some buyers, it could be a nice 3-to-1, a real shorter term trade in and out of the market. Hopefully not too long, if we do actually see that signal to get in. But the target for me would not be any higher than these two double tops, just with the way the market's been moving recently. We want to just get quick in and out trades. I'm actually going to move Euro USD down to the bottom. So we've got GBP Aussie and Euro USD needing immediate attention. USD JPY. This structure is a mess. I'm going to try and see if we could tidy this up. Let me see. Seems to be respecting this line here. So what I'm hopefully looking for would be something like this. Something like this. It might need a little bit more development. And then if we do get that, I'm more than happy to take a small buy position round about this area here, and then up to the next leg to where we started again, this downward descent round about 109.720. So that's what we're looking for in USD Gpy, USD CHF. Again, something similar. If I have multiple setups round the same currency cross, like for example, if I've got US dollar Swiss and US dollar CAD, I'll typically take the one that I could get the best risk to reward, or rely a little bit on your experience and have a look at the ones that are that just feel right, the ones that you know, based on experience and based on past setups, they've just got a better probability. There'll always be that one that sticks out to you. So I suggest don't double down on your risk, just choose one of them and make sure that you're monitoring that trade carefully. So NZD USD, not too much, but this is of course what we're looking at. Short term, just a nice quick break and retest trade. Nothing too fancy at all, nothing too fancy. You will actually make a lot more money if you could do two things. One, be less fancy, and two, always plan for both outcomes. Always plan for a buy and always plan for a sell on the same setup. I don't care what is you're trading, how big the trend is. The market will literally do whatever it wants to do, and if you get caught unprepared because you didn't spend the extra 15 minutes just to figure out what would happen on a sell on USD JPY, even though all the signs are there to take a buy, because sometimes the market will surprise you, and if you are caught sleeping or not being prepared, because sometimes, as you all know, the market will move fast, and if the market moves fast, you need to have all your zones mapped out, you need to have your trend lines in place, and you need to be dead set sure of problem areas that if you do enter a sell or a buy position, where's the next level that could cause you trouble, where's the next level that you're planning to take profit, and where do you plan on putting your stop loss. If the market has gave you a place to do so, there might be a point where the market hasn't actually gave you a place to put your stop loss and you might need a little bit more development, but having all these things planned and in place, it helps with the entries and stop loss and take profit setting tenfold, because you know exactly where everything is. You've been over it a million times in your head to say, okay, this is an extremely relevant area of the market that's been causing problems in the past, and it will definitely cause problems in the future. Let's keep an eye on it, and let's make sure that if we do have the market turn against the original bias, we could hop in this trade and we can bank ourselves at least a 3-to-1. So GBP JPY, I think we might actually start finding some sellers in the market soon. It looks like we're going to come all the way back down to 0.236 Fibonacci level, but where do we go from there? I think we do actually have the legs to come back down, break and retest all the way down to this level, just above the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level. It is based off of, let's see where the push was, it was based off here, I think. This bottom low here to this high, this high top here, and that's gave us the levels that you can see on the chart right now. I'm thinking that we do have some form of break and retest of this zone. Let me just take that off because we've got our zones mapped out. So I think we are going to come back down to this zone here, and then of course all the way back down to just above the 152.000 handle. So Euro JPY is the last pair for the major currencies. Again, you can see what we're looking at here. We've got a rising wedge pattern in a key area of resistance, so we're looking for sell positions if we do manage to break. But then if we do manage to break, where would be an obvious level to come back and retest? Well, if we come back below this bottom trend line of the rising wedge, we want it to be respected well, first and foremost. So we want a couple of candles, 2, 3, 4 candles, sort of round about this area or wherever it decides to land, as long as it's quite a bit away from here, so it's like a strong dominant break. Then you want a couple of candles stalling to say, right, okay, the sellers are in control now, the buyers are accepting the sellers are in control, and then the buyers start to come back up. So I would take it into a zone like this because it's on the outside of the trend line. It's on the outside of the trend line, and then it matches up nicely with this inverse head and shoulders. It matches up nicely with this peak here, so you can see it's got a lot of good areas that the market has touched. So for me, this would make perfect sense for if the market does come lower to come back into this area to say, right, okay, do we confirm that the sellers are in control now? Are we happy with the new structure, or was it just a market manipulation or a liquidity probe, and now we're going to go back up higher? So that's what we're looking for in Euro JPY, and we've covered those. So that's been everything for the major currencies. Let's have a look at the other currency pairs. Let me just change these. We'll fly through these really quickly. Euro Cad. So we have US oil. Yep, so we do plan US oil, I think anyway, is going to come up higher to the 0.618 handle, and then that for me would be a key level that if we do manage to get some respect, we can look to enter a sell position. So that's pretty much what we're looking for in US oil. Of course, the direct correlation to oil and the dollar is if the dollar is strong, oil is weak. And if the dollar is weak, oil is strong. Because if the dollar is weak, typically what happens is if the dollar is weak, it's going down in value. Right, and if the dollar is going down in value, typically what that means is there's more of the dollar. So if there's more of the dollar, the US oil will typically go down. If there's less of the dollar, US oil will typically go up. So just be aware of those market correlations. So Euro NZD, not really too much happening on there, but just want to keep an eye out on. This is just one to keep an eye out on. We're going to be watching this one, but nothing too immediate required here. Again, CAD CHF. So again, another descending wedge pattern. Market needs, I think, in my opinion, a lot more development, so we're not going to pay too much attention on that. Aussie NZD, again, a little bit choppy, a little bit messy, not going to pay too much attention on that. Euro CHF, again, really overextended, and I think we'll come into a really key area of support. But again, not really too much to be said on that. We've steamed into this level, so it'll be interesting to see how this one reacts. Aussie CHF. This is an interesting trade, so I'm going to move this to the bottom here. This is one that, of course, we broke this parallel channel. It's been going on since, let's just say, the 19th of March 2021. Ever so slightly moving in a bearish fashion, and now we've just actually broken the bottom of the channel. As you can see here, we've sort of had this little area of support, creating like a just like what we've just been looking at, a descending triangle pattern. Descending triangle patterns, typically when you hit against the level, hit against the level, hit against the level, hit against the level, typically speaking in a descending triangle anyway, it will break. So, and that's what's happened. We've broken to the downside. So what I'm looking for, of course, is what happens at this level here, because I'm wanting continued downside. I'm wanting something like this, and then to hop on, and then where would we take price to? Well, you see price actions here. So where's the next obvious level? It would be, for me, this low here. That's where I'd want to be taking price action to. So anywhere around about this zone. So I'm looking for 0.8685. So 0.86700, because the market likes big round numbers. So I'd make my take profit 0.86700, and I'd be trying to look for a short position somewhere like this. So again, 0.86700. There you go. So you could get a nice 4-to-1, 3-to-1, 5-to-1, just depending on how well you are entering the market, and of course if you actually see this. So Aussie CHF, let's go to Aussie GPY. Nothing. CAD GPY, we've seen that. Euro CAD, sort of a mess as well. Are we missing anything? Let's have a look. I don't think we are missing anything. It just looks a little bit messy, to be honest, right now. I would like for the market to... This seems like a good level. Yep. I would appreciate the market if it offered maybe a small buy setup around about here to the tops of these highs, but again, it's nothing. It's definitely not a trade that's looking exciting for me. I'm just going to leave that, to be honest, for now, but nonetheless we will keep an eye on it. Maybe get some form of setup in here and have a look and see what sort of risk to reward we could potentially be getting. So say we managed to get our stop loss under here somewhere into the tops of these. So yeah, you could have a nice trade here. So I'm actually going to keep that, and I'm going to move that down to the bottom. Nzdchf. We've definitely opened up the floodgates. So again, another nice trade that we could potentially be taking. We want something. We want some form of structure right now. There's no real structure to this. It's just a mess. Yes, we've broken sort of like a rise and broadening channel, but there's no real, there's nothing jumping out at me to say, right, here's where I'm going to enter, here's where my stop loss is going to be. There's definitely a little bit of development needed, but nonetheless, there's potential here, especially when you see breaks up patterns like this. It definitely opens the floodgates to take quite a good few entries back down to hopefully this area here, so around about 76.800. So again, we'll just move this over here just to remind ourselves, okay, this is what we're looking for, but we don't actually have anything as of yet. Gold, super bullish recently, but again, 3 drives to a high, which typically means that we could have some sellers stepping back in the market. This bullish candle could just be a retracement of this bearish candle here. Is a black bearish candle, just be a retracement back into the top of the zone and then come back down. So we could maybe get a short-term sell position back down here, but again, that definitely does not excite me. Nonetheless, does look like we could potentially, if we got in somewhere around here. It just depends on the market open as well. If the market open's not good, then you might actually be able to get something. You know, you could potentially get a good trade here actually. So we're definitely going to keep that. We'll move gold back down. NZD Cad. Again, that was a trade we took. Let me have a look. As you can see here, this is a descending wedge, which of course could provide us with a nice entry. So let's have a look. There you go. That looks to be the most accurate way of drawing this to catch all the touch points of the market. So I am more than happy to look at this for a buy setup. That's what we'd be looking for. Looking for a buy setup around about this area here, looking for the right entry signal, and then take that price action back up to the top here. So NZD Cad. So we've got quite a few good trades here. Nzdchf. Again, we have a good few trades. So this is everything that we're going to be looking for this week. Quite a lot of trades, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 9 that could actually have quite a big impact soon. So that's what we're going to be looking out for. We're going to keep you updated with any positions we do take, any positions that we may change in terms of our bias because of market development. And as always, please, don't just put on any of these positions without actually knowing what you're doing. If you have any questions, or if you're stuck, or if you don't know the answer to anything, please reach out and ask. It's what we're here for, it's what we like to do, and we would much rather that you had a good understanding of things that you're actually placing in terms of trades, because at the end of the day, most of you are using your own hard-earned money, and I would much rather that you used it professionally rather than just because you're excited and you want to be in the market. That's one of the most common beginner mistakes, is one that I've been guilty of losing a lot of money to, is just wanting to be in the market because I enjoyed trading. But unfortunately that doesn't make you money, and you will start to hate trading if you don't get out of that mindset, because that's the mindset that makes you lose a lot of your money. So please reach out. You've got the Instagram page, we've got the online community, now we have Telegram groups. So if you want to be in the Telegram group, please send us a message, we'll give you a link to that. Otherwise you'll be able to see it on any of these YouTube videos. There'll be a link in the description, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because we would appreciate that. So until we see you in the market recap on Wednesday, hope everyone has a good trading week, and it is a profitable one, I hope. Right, I'll speak to everybody soon, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.